The stars looked different from the bridge of the UES Dauntless. Captain Jinha had spent 20 years in space, but he never tired of the view. Today, however, he couldn't enjoy it. His eyes were fixed on the main screen where an alien face stared back at him. "Captain, they're broadcasting again," said Harin, her fingers moving quickly across the communications panel. At 32, she was the youngest senior officer on the ship, but also the best translator Earth had Jinha nodded. "Put it through." The screen flickered, revealing a creature with 4 eyes and skin that shimmered like metal. The Vexery ambassadors. Mouth parts clicked as it spoke. "Humans of Earth," the translation came through in a flat, computerized voice. "We have reviewed your request for diplomatic relations. The Vexery Confederation finds your species inadequate for meaningful alliance." Jinha's jaw tightened, but he kept his face calm. First contact with an advanced alien civilization had happened just 3 weeks ago. Humanity had hoped for friendship, for exchange of knowledge. Instead, they got this. "Your biological structure is too fragile," the Vexery continued. "Your technology is primitive. Your ships are slow and weak. You would be better as a protected species under our guidance, not as equals." The bridge fell silent. 20 crew members looked at their captain, waiting for his response. Jinha stood straighter, his weathered face showing nothing of the anger. He felt inside. "Ambassador," he said carefully, "humanity has overcome many challenges. We have united our planet, ended our wars, and reached for the stars. We believe we have much to offer as friends." The alien made a sound that the computer couldn't translate, but it sounded like laughter. "Captain Jinha, is it? Your species took 10,000 years to develop space travel. The Vexery did it in 2000. We control 17 star systems. You have barely left your own. These are facts, not opinions." Haris looked up from her station, her dark eyes flashing with anger. Jinha gave her a small shake of his head. "Not now." "We understand the difference in our development," Jinha said. "But friendship between species isn't measured only by technology." "Perhaps not," the Vexery replied, "but alliances are. The Confederation has decided. We will arrive at Earth in 7 days to establish protective oversight of your system. Your resources will be cataloged and managed by Vexery administrators. Your military vessels will be upgraded with proper supervision." Jinha's hands gripped the edge of his command console. "And if we decline this arrangement?" The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "That would be unwise. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your defenses cannot stop us. Refusing would only cause unnecessary suffering for your people." "I see," Jinha said quietly. "We will discuss your proposal and respond. You have 1 Earth hour to accept our terms." The Vexery sighed. "Further discussion is unnecessary." The screen went black. For 10 seconds, no one spoke. Then everyone started talking at once. "They can't just take over Earth. Their ships are massive, at least 5 times our size. Our weapons might not even dent their hulls." Jinha raised his hand and the bridge fell silent again. "Harin, what's your assessment of their language and behavior?" he asked. She stood, tucking a strand of black hair behind her ear. "They're not lying about their technological advantage. Scans confirm their ships use energy systems we barely understand. But there's something else. They're overconfident. They've done this before to other species, and no one has ever surprised them." Jinha nodded. "Tactical Officer Park, your thoughts?" A broad-shouldered man turned from his station. "Sir, conventional weapons would be useless against their shields, but ... double quote." He hesitated. "Speak freely," Jinha said. "The Phantom Protocol, sir. It's never been field-tested, but it might work," Jinha finished for him. He tapped his communication. "Badge, Admiral Kwan, please report to the bridge immediately." 3 minutes later, Admiral Kwan entered. Though 60 years old, he moved with the energy of a much younger man. His eyes quickly took in the tense atmosphere. "I monitored the transmission from my quarters," he said. "Arrogant bastards, aren't they?" Jinha allowed himself a small smile. "Very, sir, I'm requesting permission to activate the Phantom Protocol." Kwan's eyebrows shot up. That's not a diplomatic response, Captain. No, sir, Jinha agreed. It's a human one. The Admiral walked to the view screen, looking at the distant shape of the Vexery mothership. It hung in space like a predator, waiting. They've scanned our visible technology, Quan said thoughtfully. They've measured our weapons, our engines, our shields, and they've decided we're no threat? Yes, sir? But they haven't seen everything, have they? Jinha shook his head. No, sir. The Phantom systems remain undetectable to their scanners. They don't know what we've been developing in secret for the past 15 years? Quan turned to face the bridge crew. Humanity has always been at its best when backed into a corner. Throughout our history, we've faced extinction many times from nature, from ourselves, from our own planet. Each time, we didn't just survive, we emerged stronger. He walked to Jinha's side. The Vexery have made a critical mistake. They've judged us by what they can see, by what makes sense to them. They don't understand that humans don't evolve in straight lines. We leap. Sir, Harin interrupted. They're hailing us again. They want our answer. Quan nodded to Jinha. Captain, you have my authorization. Show them what humanity does when threatened. Jinha took a deep breath. Harin, open a channel. The Vexery ambassador appeared on screen again. Your time is up, human. What is your answer? Jinha stepped forward. Ambassador, we've considered your proposal carefully, and we have decided to decline. The alien's mouth parts clicked rapidly. This is most unwise. Your primitive weapons cannot— You misunderstand, Jinha interrupted. We're not planning to fight you with primitive weapons. He nodded to Harin, who pressed a sequence of commands. Into her console, Phantom protocol activated, she announced. Quantum displacement field engaging. The lights on the bridge dimmed momentarily as power redirected to systems that had remained dormant during all previous scans. Systems the Vexery knew nothing about. On the screen, the ambassador's 4 eyes widened as alarms suddenly blared from somewhere off-screen. What deception is this? The alien demanded. Our sensors detect an anomaly. That's no anomaly, Jinha said calmly. That's the real Dauntless. The ship shuddered slightly as its quantum displacement field fully activated, making it phase partially out of normal spacetime. To the Vexery sensors, the Dauntless would seem to be in multiple places. At once an impossible reading. Impossible, the ambassador whispered. Your species cannot have developed quantum displacement technology, Jinha smiled. There's something you should understand about humans, Ambassador. We don't respond well to threats. And we're at our most dangerous when you think you've won. The Dauntless moved with impossible speed, appearing directly beside the Vexery mothership in an instant. Now, Jinha said quietly, let's discuss that diplomatic relationship again, as equals. The Vexery ambassador's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as the Dauntless appeared next to their mothership. On the bridge, Jinha watched the alien's reaction with quiet satisfaction. This is impossible, the ambassador said again. Our scans showed no such technology in your possession. That was the point, Jinha replied. Humans have learned through hard experience not to reveal all our capabilities to potential threats. Admiral Quan stepped forward. Ambassador, we request a face-to-face meeting. Not as subjects, but as equals. The alien's metallic skin rippled with what might have been anger or fear. I must consult with the Confederation High Command. The screen went dark. They're scrambling, Harin reported, monitoring the alien communications. Their ships are trying to target us, but our quantum field is confusing their systems, Jinha nodded. Good, keep your field active but stable. We don't want to appear threatening, just impossible to dismiss. Quan turned to Jinha. They'll agree to meet. They have no choice now. But be careful, Captain. Surprised predators are the most dangerous. Yes, sir, Jinha said. Harin, prepare the diplomatic shuttle. Tactical Officer Park maintained the Dauntless in quantum flux state. 20 minutes later, the Vexery responded. Their tone had changed completely. The Confederation will receive a human delegation aboard our command vessel, the ambassador said stiffly. You may bring 3 representatives. Jinha looked at Quan. Admiral? I'll lead the delegation, Quan said. You and Communications Officer Harin will accompany me. The Dauntless remains under Park's command. The shuttle trip to the Vexry mothership was short but tense. Harin studied her tablet, reviewing everything they knew about Vexry culture and language. Their society is highly structured, she told the men. They value technological advancement above all else. Species are ranked by their development level, and they just discovered they ranked us wrong, Jinha said. The Vexry ship was enormous inside. The walls gleamed with a metal that seemed alive, pulsing with soft light. 4 armed guards met them at the docking bay. The aliens were taller than humans, with 4 arms and exoskeletons that shimmered with iridescent colors. Follow, 1. Guard said simply. They were led through winding corridors to a large circular room. In the center stood the ambassador they had spoken with, along with 5 other Vexry who wore elaborate armor that marked them as leaders. I am Supreme Commander Vextrol, said the largest alien. You have surprised us, humans. This is unusual. Admiral. Quan stepped forward. I am Admiral Quan of the United Earth Government. This is Captain Jinha of the UES Dauntless and Communications Officer Harin. Vextrol's upper arms made a sweeping gesture. Sit, we will discuss. They sat at a round table that rose from the floor. Jinha noticed how the aliens positioned themselves ready to move quickly if needed. They were still wary. Your quantum displacement technology, Vextrol began without preamble. How did your species develop it? Our records show no evolutionary path that would lead to such advancement at your stage. Quan smiled slightly. That's because humans don't evolve in predictable patterns, Commander. We leap. Explain, demanded one of the other Vexry. Harin spoke up. Earth's history is different from most worlds. We faced extinction many times, ice ages, plagues, world wars, climate collapse. Each time we didn't just adapt slowly. We transformed rapidly. Jinha nodded. 15 years ago, we discovered the quantum principles by accident. A scientist named Lee was trying to solve our energy crisis. She wasn't looking for a new propulsion system, but that's what she found. Vextrol's eyes narrowed. Our scientists say such development should take centuries. For most species, perhaps, Quan said. But humans work differently under pressure. When we're threatened, we don't follow normal patterns. We break them. The aliens conferred among themselves in their clicking language. Harin listened carefully, her translator working to catch key phrases. They're confused, she whispered to Jinha. They've never encountered a species that developed this way. Finally, Vextrol turned back to them. We have reassessed your species. The Confederation withdraws its protectorate proposal. Thank you, Quan said, but that's not enough. The alien stiffened. What more do you want? Recognition, Jinha said, as equals. With full diplomatic relations and mutual respect, Vextrol's mouthparts clicked rapidly. You demand much for a species that controls only one system. Species that surprised you, Harin pointed out. A species you completely misjudged. The tension in the room grew. Jinha could feel the aliens' frustration. They weren't used to negotiating from a position of uncertainty. There is another matter, Quan said calmly. While we've been talking, the Dauntless has been scanning your fleet? Vextrol's exoskeleton paled slightly. That is not possible through our shields, Jinha smiled. The same quantum technology that powers our engines allows us to scan through conventional shields. We can see everything, your weapons, your defenses, your power systems. And, Harin added, we've been transmitting that data back to Earth. This was a bluff. The Dauntless could scan the Vexry ships, but not as completely as Jinha implied. Still, the effect was immediate. The aliens conferred again, more urgently this time. The Confederation does not respond well to threats, Vextrol said finally. Neither do humans, Quan replied. But this isn't a threat. It's a demonstration of why mutual respect is the only path forward. Jinha leaned forward. Commander, think about what happened today. You came to our system believing you knew everything. About us, you were wrong. If we wanted conflict, we could have used our technology differently. Instead, Harin said, we're sitting here, talking. That's what humans prefer, understanding, not domination. Vextrel was silent for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, the alien made a sound that the translator identified as laughter. In 300 cycles, the Confederation has encountered many species, Vextrel said. None have ever surprised us like this. None have ever forced us to reconsider so quickly. The commander's upper arms made a new gesture, one of respect, Harin realized. Very well, Vextrel said. The Confederation recognizes Earth as a sovereign power. We will establish proper diplomatic relations, Quan nodded. Thank you, Commander. But, Vextrel continued, we must understand this quantum technology better. The implications are ... significant. Jinha exchanged glances with Quan. This was the real negotiation beginning, what knowledge to share, what to keep secret. We're willing to discuss technological exchange, Jinha said carefully. As equals. As they continued talking, Jinha felt a strange mix of pride and concern. Humanity had earned respect today. But they had also revealed themselves as players in a much larger game, a game with rules they were still learning. On the Dauntless, Tactical Officer Park watched the Vexery fleet carefully. The quantum displacement field hummed steadily, ready to move the ship instantly if needed. But for now, diplomacy was working. The humans had surprised the Vexery once. If necessary, they could do it again. 3 days after the first meeting, Jinha stood in Earth's orbital diplomatic station. Through the large viewing window, he could see both the Dauntless and the Vexery mothership floating against the backdrop of his blue home planet. The contrast was striking. The alien vessel was nearly 5 times larger, its crystalline surface catching sunlight in rainbow patterns. They're still scanning us, Harin said, looking up from her tablet. Every hour, new scan patterns. They're trying to figure out how our quantum technology works. Jinha nodded. Let them look. The core systems are shielded. The door slid open, and Admiral Quan entered with a group of Earth's top officials. The United Earth government had sent its best scientists and diplomats to meet with the Vexery delegation. Captain, Quan said, the Vexery will arrive in 10 minutes. Are we ready? Yes, sir. Security is in place, but not visible. We want this to feel like a meeting of equals, not a military standoff. Quan looked tired. He had spent the last 3 days in emergency meetings, explaining to Earth's leaders how humanity had developed quantum technology in secret, and why it had been kept hidden even from most of the government. The Science Council is still angry they weren't told about the Phantom Protocol, Quan said quietly. Jinha understood their frustration. 15 years of secret development. Only 50 people knew the full scope of the project. It was necessary. Admiral, I know, Quan sighed. And today proves why. If the Vexery had known our true capabilities from the beginning, they would have approached us differently, or worse, tried to take the technology by force. Harin joined them. The Vexery shuttle is approaching. Commander Vextrel is leading their delegation personally. The meeting room was large and circular, with a table made of real wooded deliberate choice to showcase something uniquely Earth-made. Jinha, Harin, and Quan stood with Earth's representatives as the Vexery entered. Commander Vextrel led 7 other aliens into the room. They moved with fluid grace despite their exoskeletons. Jinha noticed they wore less armor than before, a sign of increasing trust. Greetings, humans of Earth, Vextrel said. The Confederation appreciates this opportunity for meaningful dialogue. The formal introductions took nearly 15 minutes. Then everyone sat, and the real discussions began. Dr. Yoon, Earth's lead scientist, spoke first. We understand you have questions about our quantum displacement technology. Many questions, one of the Vexery scientists replied. Our analysis shows your development path is impossible. Species follow predictable technological evolution. First comes conventional space travel, then basic FTL, then gravity manipulation, and only after centuries of development, quantum mechanics. You have skipped stages. Jinha watched the aliens carefully. Their confusion seemed genuine. They truly couldn't understand how humans had made such a leap. Perhaps, Haran suggested, your understanding of development paths is based on species that evolved differently than humans. Vextrol's 4 eyes focused on her. Explain. Haran looked at Jinha, who nodded encouragingly. Humans evolved on a planet with constant threats, she began. Predators, natural disasters, climate shifts. Later, we nearly destroyed ourselves. Multiple times through war and environmental damage. This created a species that doesn't develop in a straight line. Dr. Yoon continued, when humans face extinction, we don't adapt gradually. We make desperate leaps. Quantum displacement came from our darkest moment when climate collapse nearly ended our civilization 50 years ago. The Vexry scientists? Mouthparts clicked rapidly. But the physics, the energy requirements alone should have been impossible to overcome. Jinha leaned forward. Dr. Lee, the inventor, didn't approach the problem conventionally. She wasn't trying to create a new propulsion system. She was trying to find a way to move millions of people quickly from flooded coastlines. Transportation technology? Another. Vexry asked. Yes, Quan said. She theorized that if matter could exist in multiple states simultaneously at the quantum level, perhaps larger objects could partially phase between states too. The breakthrough came when she stopped trying to move people through space and instead tried to move space around people. The aliens conferred among themselves in their clicking language. Haran listened carefully, catching phrases about evolutionary anomalies and threat assessment. Finally, Vextrol turned back to the humans. We have encountered 317 spacefaring species in our history. None have developed like yours. This is ... concerning? Jinha asked. Or interesting? Both, Vextrol admitted. Your unpredictability makes you potentially dangerous allies. The Earth diplomat, Miss Chung, spoke up, or valuable ones. Different perspectives lead to different solutions. The discussion continued for hours. The Vexry asked detailed questions. About human history, about how Earth's nations had finally united, about the series of crises that had shaped human development. Jinha noticed they seemed particularly interested in humanity's capacity to function under extreme stress. During a short break, Jinha found himself standing next to Vextrol at the viewing window. Your ship, the alien commander said, gesturing toward the Dauntless. It appears small and simple. Yet it contains technology that surprised the Confederation. This is very human, I think, Jinha smiled. We have a saying, don't judge a book by its cover? Book? Vextrol's translator seemed confused. A collection of written words, Jinha explained. The saying means appearances can be deceiving. Ah. The commander's exoskeleton shifted color slightly. The Confederation made this error with your species. We saw your visible technology and judged you accordingly. A natural mistake, Jinha said. But now you know better. Vextrol turned, all 4 eyes toward him. Yes, now we know that humans hide their true capabilities. This makes you ... unpredictable. There was something in the alien's tone that made Jinha uneasy. Before he could respond, Haran approached quickly. Captain, she said quietly, we're receiving an urgent message from the Dauntless. Jinha excused himself and moved to a private communication panel. Tactical Officer Park's face appeared on the screen. Sir, Park said, his expression serious, our long-range sensors have detected something. A second Vexry fleet just entered the outer solar system. 6 ships, heavily armed, moving fast. Jinha felt a cold weight in his stomach. The Confederation is hedging its bets. It appears so, sir. They're maintaining communication silence. The ships in orbit don't know we've detected them. Keep the Dauntless at ready status, Jinha ordered. But don't make any obvious moves. I need to speak with Admiral Quan immediately. As Jinha turned, he found Vextrol standing behind him. The alien commander's exoskeleton had darkened too. A deep blue color. Is there a problem, Captain Jinha? Vextrol asked till Jinha kept his face neutral. No problem, Commander. Just a routine check with my ship. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Of course. Shall we return to the discussions? I believe we were about to address potential areas of cooperation between our peoples. Yes, Jinha said, meeting the commander's gaze steadily. Let's talk about trust and transparency between allies. As they walked back to the meeting room, Jinha caught Harin's eye and gave her a subtle signal. She nodded slightly and moved to quietly inform Admiral Quan about the approaching fleet. The diplomatic dance continued, but now with higher stakes. The Vexeri were still testing humanity, this time not just their technology, but their awareness and resolve. Jinha took his seat at the table, his mind racing. The Vexeri had underestimated humans once. It seemed they were about to make the same mistake again. Jinha sat calmly at the diplomatic table, giving no sign that he knew about the second Vexeri fleet approaching Earth. Beside him, Admiral Quan continued the discussion as if nothing had changed, though a new tension showed in the lines around his eyes. We propose a cultural exchange program, Quan was saying. A delegation from Earth could visit Vexeri worlds while your scientists and diplomats explore our planet. Commander Vextral's upper arms made a gesture of consideration. An interesting proposal. The Confederation rarely allows non-members to visit our core worlds. Perhaps that policy deserves reconsideration, Harin suggested. True understanding comes from direct experience. Jinha watched the commander carefully. Vextral's exoskeleton still showed that deep blue color, a sign of what? Caution? Deception? They still knew too little about Vexeri body language. His communication device vibrated silently against his wrist. A text message from the Dauntless. Second Fleet accelerating. 8 to 3 hours. Jinha made a decision. He cleared his throat. Before we continue these discussions, there's a matter we should address. All eyes turned to him. Admiral Quan gave him a slight nod. Commander Vextral, Jinha said, why is the second Vexeri battle fleet approaching Earth? The room went completely silent. The Vexeri delegation stiffened, their exoskeletons shifting to various colors. Vextral's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, but the commander showed remarkable control. I don't know what you mean, Captain, Vextral said smoothly. Jinha tapped. His tablet and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed the solar system with 6 red dots moving steadily toward Earth. 6 heavy cruisers, Jinha said, approaching from the direction of Neptune. They're running without identification signals and maintaining communication silence. The Earth diplomats looked shocked. They hadn't been informed yet. Vextral's exoskeleton now pulsed with bands of red and blue. Your sensors must be malfunctioning. The Confederation has no other ships in your system. Harim spoke up. Our quantum sensors can detect ships even when they try to hide. The same technology that powers our engines gives us unique detection capabilities. Jinha leaned forward. Commander, we came to this meeting in good faith. We believed you when you said the Confederation wanted peaceful relations. And we do, Vextral insisted. The alien turned to confer quickly with the other Vexeri. They're clicking language too fast for Harin's translator to follow. Admiral Quan stood. This meeting is suspended until we receive an explanation. Earth's defense forces are being alerted. Wait, Vextral said, rising as well. There is no need for alarm. I will contact Confederation High Command immediately. Please do, Jinha said. We'll wait. The Vexeri delegation moved to one side of the room, engaging in what appeared to be a heated discussion. Jinha, Quan, and Harin huddled with the Earth representatives. How bad is this? Asked Miss Chan, the lead diplomat. 6 heavy cruisers, Jinha said quietly. Each one comparable to their mothership. They could cause significant damage. But the Dauntless can stop them, right? Dr. Yoon asked. With the quantum technology? Quan shook his head. The Dauntless is powerful, but it's one ship. We have other vessels with quantum capability, but they're scattered throughout the solar system. It would take time to gather them. Time we may not have? Jinha added. Harin had been monitoring the Vexeri conversation through her translator. They're arguing, she reported. Vextral seems genuinely surprised about the second fleet. He's demanding explanations from someone called the High Overseer. After 10 tense minutes, Vextrol returned to the table. The commander's exoskeleton had settled into a dull gray color. Captain Jinha, Admiral Quan, Vextrol began, I must offer an explanation and an apology. Jinha raised an eyebrow. We're listening. The approaching fleet was dispatched by the Confederation High Council without my knowledge, Vextrol sighed. It is standard procedure when encountering a species with unexpected capabilities. Standard procedure? Quan repeated. You mean a show of force while pretending to negotiate? Vextrol's mouth parts clicked in what might have been embarrassment. The Confederation has existed for 12,000 years. In that time, we have developed certain protocols for first contact situations. Protocols that include deception. Jinha said flatly. Caution, Vextrol corrected. When a species demonstrates technology beyond their expected development stage, the High Council automatically dispatches a security fleet. Harin leaned forward. And what are this fleet's orders? The commander hesitated. To observe, and if necessary, to ensure the technology does not pose a threat to Confederation interests. By any means necessary? Jinha asked. Vextrol didn't answer directly. I have informed the High Council that such measures are unnecessary and inappropriate. In this case, I have ordered the fleet to halt its approach and identify itself properly. Will they obey? Quan asked. They must, Vextrol said. I am Supreme Commander of this sector. Jinha exchanged glances with Quan. Neither fully believed the alien's assurances. As a show of good faith, Jinha suggested, perhaps you could open communications with the fleet so we can all hear their response to your orders. Vextrol hesitated, then nodded. A reasonable request. The commander activated a communication device. A holographic screen appeared showing another Vexery, with darker coloration and more elaborate armor. Fleet Commander Zexinar, Vextrol said. Identify your mission and purpose in this system immediately. The other Vexery seemed surprised to be addressed in an open setting with humans present. Supreme Commander, I am following High Council. Directive 739. My fleet is conducting a security assessment of the human quantum technology. The assessment is unnecessary, Vextrol said firmly. I have the situation well in hand. Halt your approach and maintain position at the system boundary. Fleet Commander Zexinar's exoskeleton flashed with bands of red. With respect, Supreme Commander, my orders come directly from High Overseer Vexmoran. The human technology must be properly evaluated. If they resist, we are authorized to secure samples by any means necessary. Jinha felt a cold anger building inside him. Secure samples? It means steal our technology? Zexinar seemed to notice the humans for the first time. This communication should be private, Supreme Commander. No, Vextrol said. The humans detected your approach despite your stealth measures. They have been forthright with us. We will be equally transparent with them. Jinha stood. Fleet Commander Zexinar, let me be clear. Any attempt to secure samples of our technology will be considered an act of war. Earth will defend itself. The Vexery Commander's 4 eyes narrowed. Your species has 1 system and a handful of ships. The Confederation spans 17 systems with thousands of vessels. This is not a threat. You should make, human. Admiral Quan joined Jinha. Numbers aren't everything, Commander. You've already seen that our technology can surprise you. There's much more you haven't seen. Harin had been quietly working at her tablet. She slid it toward Jinha, who glanced down at the message. Dauntless reports all Earth quantum ships responding. 15 vessels converging. Jinha looked back at the Vexery Fleet Commander. You have 1 hour to halt your approach and identify yourselves properly. After that, we will consider your actions hostile. Zexinar's exoskeleton pulsed with angry. Red colors. You dare to threaten a Confederation fleet? Not a threat, Jinha said calmly. A boundary. Respect it or discover why humans have survived every extinction-level event our planet has thrown at us. The communication ended abruptly. Vextrol turned to the humans. Exoskeleton, now a mix of gray and blue patterns. Captain Jinha, I did not authorize this action. The High Council sometimes overreaches. Then stop them, Quan said simply. Vextral S4 eyes blinked in sequence. I will try. But you should know the Confederation has never encountered a species that refused to share technology when ... requested. Jinha smiled without humor. Then the Confederation has never met humans before. As they left the meeting room to prepare Earth's defenses, Haran moved close to Jinha. Do you think they'll back down? She asked quietly. Jinha looked out at the stars where the Dauntless waited. No, they've spent thousands of years taking what they want from lesser species. They need to learn that humans don't follow their rules. And if they attack? Then, Jinha said, they'll discover why cornered humans are the most dangerous force in the universe. The hour passed quickly. Jinha stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, watching the main screen where 15 Earthships gathered in defensive formation around the planet. They were a mix of vessels, some large, some small, but all equipped with the quantum displacement technology. Status report, Jinha ordered. Tactical Officer Park looked up from his console. The Vexry fleet has not slowed down, Captain. They'll reach Earth orbit in 20 minutes. And Commander Vextral S. Mothership? Still in position? They've powered up weapon systems but haven't targeted anything yet? Jinha nodded. They're waiting to see what their reinforcements do first. Harin monitored communications. Captain, we're receiving transmissions between the Vexry ships. They're discussing our defense fleet. Are they surprised? Very, Harin said with a small smile. They didn't expect us to have more than a few ships with quantum capability. Admiral Quan entered the bridge, his face grim. The United Earth government has authorized defensive measures, Captain. We are cleared to protect Earth by any means necessary. Jinha took a deep breath. Let's try one more time to avoid conflict. Harin, open a channel to Fleet Commander Zexanar. The main screen flickered, showing the Vexry commander. The aliens. Exoskeleton now pulsed with bright red patterns. Human, Zexanar said, your deadline means nothing to the Confederation. Stand down your vessels and prepare to receive our inspection teams. Jinha kept his voice calm. Commander, look at your sensors again. Count our ships, scan their capabilities. Is this inspection really worth the cost? You cannot hope to defeat a Confederation fleet, Zexanar insisted. Your ships are small. Your weapons are untested. Then why not test them? Jinha suggested. We'll give you a demonstration. He nodded to Tactical Officer Park, who pressed a sequence of commands. The Dauntless's quantum displacement field activated, and the ship seemed to flicker from normal vision. What are you doing? Zexanar demanded. Jinha didn't answer. Instead, he gave another command. All Earth vessels execute Phantom Protocol Delta. On the screen, Zexanar's 4 eyes widened as alarms blared in the background. The 15 Earth ships activated their quantum field simultaneously. To the Vexry sensors, it would appear as if the ships were in multiple places at once, impossible to target accurately. Impossible, the Vexry commander whispered. No, Jinha corrected. Human. With another command, the Dauntless vanished, completely from normal space only to reappear directly beside Zexanar's flagship. The maneuver happened so quickly that the Vexry had no time to react. We are now within 10 meters of your command vessel, Jinha informed the stunned alien. Our quantum field allows us to partially phase through your shields. They offer you no protection. To demonstrate, he ordered a precisely calculated shot. A thin beam of energy passed through the Vexry flagship shields as if they didn't exist, striking a non-critical section of the hull. It left a small smoking hole, a warning shot that caused damage but threatened no lives. That, Admiral Quan said, stepping into view, was a demonstration of our capability. We could have targeted your engines, your weapons, or your bridge. We chose not to. Zexanar's exoskeleton had paled to an ashy gray. This technology, it violates the natural laws of physics. Harin spoke up. It doesn't violate them, Commander. It works with them in ways you haven't discovered yet. Around Earth, the other 14 human ships had performed similar maneuvers, each positioning itself next to a Vexry vessel. The entire Confederation fleet was now effectively surrounded, despite having more and larger ships. Commander Zexanar, Jinha said, you have two choices. Withdraw your fleet and return to Confederation space, or continue this aggression and discover what happens when humans are forced to defend their home. The Vexery commander's mouthparts clicked rapidly as he conferred with his officers off-screen. Jinha waited patiently. He had no desire for conflict, but he would not allow Earth to be bullied or its technology stolen. Finally, Zexanar turned back to the screen. The Confederation has existed for 12,000 years because we know when to be doxable. We will withdraw to the system boundary and await further instructions from the High Council. Jinha nodded. A wise decision. As the communication ended, a cheer went up from the dauntless crew. Jinha raised his hand for quiet. This isn't over, he reminded them. They're retreating, not surrendering. Stay alert. A new transmission came through Commander Vextrol from the diplomatic mothership. Captain Jinha, the alien said, that was impressive and concerning. It was necessary, Jinha replied. Your fleet came to take what wasn't offered. Vextrol's exoskeleton had shifted to a mix of blue and green colors. The High Council has ordered me to continue diplomatic discussions. They are reconsidering their approach to Earth. I imagine they are, Admiral Quan said dryly. Will you return to the diplomatic station? Vextrol asked. There is much to discuss. Jinha looked at Quan, who nodded slightly. We'll meet in 2 hours, Jinha said. That should give your fleet enough time to reach a respectful distance. After the communication ended, Harin approached Jinha. They're scared now, she said quietly. I could hear it in their communications. They've never encountered a species that could neutralize their technological advantage so completely. Fear can make enemies more dangerous, Jinha cautioned. We need to be careful. 2 hours later, Jinha, Harin, and Admiral Quan returned to the diplomatic station. The mood was entirely different from their previous meeting. The Vexery delegation seemed subdued, their exoskeletons showing muted colors. Commander Vextrol began without preamble. The Confederation High Council has sent new instructions. I am authorized to offer Earth full diplomatic recognition and non-aggression guarantees. That's a start, Quan said. But not enough. Vextrol's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. What more do you want? Jinha leaned forward. Understanding. The Confederation approached Earth as a potential subject, not an equal. That must never happen again. We have existed for 12,000 years, one of the other Vexery said. We have encountered hundreds of species. None have developed as you have. Then perhaps, Harin suggested, the Confederation has something to learn from humanity. Vextrol was silent for a moment, then made a gesture Jinha hadn't seen before, all 4 arms extended, palms up. The High Council has authorized me to offer something unprecedented, the commander said. A seat on the Confederation Advisory Council. No species has ever been offered this position without first being a member for at least a century. Jinha exchanged surprised glances with Quan and Harin. This was unexpected. Why? Jinha asked simply. Vextrol's exoskeleton shifted to a deep green. Because your quantum technology represents an advancement that could benefit all Confederation species, and because the alien hesitated. Because your response to our aggression was measured and precise. You could have destroyed our ships. You chose not to. Humans prefer peace, Quan said, but we will fight when necessary. So we have seen, Vextrol acknowledged. The High Council believes your perspective would be valuable. Jinha considered the offer. It was more than they had hoped for, a seat at the table of a vast interstellar civilization. But he sensed there was more to it. And the Confederation gets to keep a close eye on the unpredictable humans, he said with a slight smile. Vextrol's mouthparts clicked in what might have been amusement. There is that consideration, yes. Harin leaned toward Jinha. They're afraid of us, she whispered, but also fascinated. Jinha nodded. A good combination for respectful relations. He turned back to Vextrol. We will bring your offer to the United Earth government. But first, I have a question. Ask, Vextrel said. In all your 12,000 years, has the Confederation ever encountered a species that made you reconsider your fundamental assumptions? The commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Not until today, Captain Jinha, not until humans. As the meeting continued, Jinha felt a mix of pride and caution. Humanity had earned respect today, but they had also revealed themselves as a force to be reckoned with in a vast, complex galaxy. The Dauntless remained on alert, its quantum systems humming quietly, ready, if needed, to remind the Confederation why humans had survived every challenge their harsh world had thrown at them. 3 months had passed since the confrontation with the Vexery fleet. Jinha stood at the observation deck of the newly constructed Earth Embassy on Vextrel Prime, the capital world of the Vexery Confederation. The alien planet spread out below, him a world of crystalline cities and purple oceans that shimmered under twin suns. Still getting used to the view? Harin asked, joining him at the window. Jinha smiled. I don't think I ever will. 2 months ago, we had never left our solar system. Now we're standing on a planet 17 light-years from Earth. Thanks to Vexery faster-than-light technology, Harin said, a fair exchange for sharing some of our quantum principles. The diplomatic agreement had been carefully crafted. Earth would share limited aspects of quantum displacement theory, while the Confederation would provide humans with established FTL travel technology. Both sides kept their most advanced secrets, but both gained valuable new capabilities. Admiral Quan is arriving today, Jinha said, checking the time. The first meeting of the Confederation Advisory Council with Earth's representative. Harin nodded. The Vexery are still nervous about us. I can tell from their communications patterns. Good, Jinha said. A little healthy respect will keep the peace better than any treaty. A soft chime indicated someone at the door. Jinha turned to see a young Earth diplomat enter. Captain Jinha, Officer Harin, the diplomat said. Commander Vextrel has arrived. Early, he's requesting to speak with you before the formal council meeting. Jinha raised an eyebrow. That's unusual. Show him in. Vextrel entered the room with just 1 aide instead of the usual entourage. The commander's exoskeleton showed a calm blue color that Jinha had learned indicated a positive mood. Captain, Vextrel greeted him. I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, Commander. What can we do for you? The Vexery moved to the window, looking out at his homeworld. Beautiful, isn't it? 12,000 years of Confederation development. Very impressive, Jinha agreed. Yet, in all that time, Vextrel continued, we never developed quantum displacement. Our scientists followed a different path. Harin joined them. Different species, different thinking patterns. Precisely, Vextrel turned all 4 eyes toward them. That is why I've come early today. There is something I must tell you before the council meeting. Jinha sensed the seriousness in the alien's tone. We're listening. The High Council has been studying your species intensively since our first encounter. We've analyzed your history, your literature, your scientific development. We've found something disturbing. Disturbing? Harin asked. Vextrel's exoskeleton rippled with bands of green and blue. Humans develop faster under threat. Your greatest advancements came from your darkest moments. No other species we've encountered shows this pattern so strongly, Jinha nodded slowly. That's true. We call it necessity being the mother of invention. Some members of the High Council see this as dangerous, Vextrel continued. They fear that if humans face new threats, you will develop even more powerful technologies. Technologies that might eventually threaten the Confederation itself. Jinha felt a chill. Are you saying some of your leaders see us as a future enemy? Not an enemy, Vextrel clarified. A potential disruption to 12,000 years of stability. Harin's eyes narrowed. Is that why we were offered a seat on the advisory council? To keep us close and monitor us? Partially, Vextrel admitted. But there is another faction led by myself that sees a different possibility. Which is? Jinha asked. That human unpredictability could be exactly what the Confederation needs. The commander's exoskeleton brightened. We have been stable for millennia, yes. But also to stagnant, our development has slowed. We follow established patterns too rigidly, Jinha understood. You think humans could help the Confederation break out of old thinking patterns? Yes, Vextrel made a gesture with all four arms that Jinha had learned indicated strong emphasis. But for this to work, there must be trust. Real trust, not the political maneuvering the High Council prefers. Why are you telling us this? Harin asked. Because at today's council meeting you will face questions and challenges designed to test human reactions. Some council members will try to provoke you to see if humans become more innovative when threatened. Jinha's jaw tightened. They're trying to experiment on us. Yes, Vextrel said simply. And I believe this approach is wrong. True cooperation cannot begin with manipulation. Jinha was silent for a moment, processing this information. Then he smiled. Thank you for your honesty, Commander. We appreciate the warning. After Vextrel left, Harin turned to Jinha. What do we do? Tell Admiral Quan to expect a trap? Yes, Jinha said, but we'll do more than just defend ourselves. If the Confederation wants to see human innovation, let's show them, but on our terms. 3 hours later, Jinha and Harin sat in the Grand Council chamber of the Confederation. The room was enormous, with seating for representatives of all 17 member systems. Admiral Quan sat at the New Earth delegation position, his face calm despite the warning Jinha had given him. High Overseer Vexmoran, the leader of the Confederation, called the meeting to order. The ancient Vexary's exoskeleton was a deep purple that seemed to absorb light. Today marks a historic occasion, Vexmoran began. For the first time in 8,000 years, a new species joins our advisory council without first becoming a full member of the Confederation. The alien's four eyes fixed on Admiral Quan. Humans have demonstrated unique capabilities that merit special consideration, Quan nodded respectfully. Earth is honored by this recognition. However, another council member interrupted. Some of us question whether a species with only one system and limited interstellar experience can truly contribute to Confederation policy. Jinha recognized the tactic immediately, the first challenge, designed to provoke a defensive response. Quan smiled. A fair question. Earth is indeed young in interstellar terms. But perhaps that gives us a fresh perspective the Confederation might find valuable. Fresh, yes, a different council member said, but also potentially dangerous. Your quantum technology developed in secret. What other surprises might humans be hiding? Harin leaned toward Jinha. They're not even trying. To be subtle, Jinha nodded. Time for our response. Admiral Quan stood. Honored council members, rather than tell you what humans might contribute, perhaps a demonstration would be more effective. He nodded to Jinha, who activated a small device. In the center of the council chamber, a holographic display appeared, but unlike any hologram the Vexary had seen before. This one had physical presence, created by quantum-entangled particles that existed in multiple states simultaneously. This is a quantum reality projection, Quan explained. A technology we developed just 3 weeks ago after studying the principles behind your FTL drives. The hologram showed a three-dimensional map of the Confederation's 17 systems, but with new connections between them that the Vexary had never considered. Your current trade routes follow traditional space lanes, Quan continued, but by applying quantum principles to your existing FTL technology, these new pathways become possible, cutting transport time by 40% across the Confederation. The council chamber erupted in clicking conversations. The Vexary were clearly stunned by how quickly humans had not only understood their technology but improved upon it. High Overseer Vexmoran's exoskeleton shifted to a bright yellow, a color Jinha had never seen before. You developed this in 3 weeks? The Overseer asked. Yes, Quan said simply. Once we understood the basic principles of your FTL drives, we saw connections your scientists missed, not because they lack brilliance, but because they follow established thinking patterns, Jinha watched the council members carefully. Some showed colors of alarm, others of excitement. Commander Vextral's exoskeleton glowed with a satisfied blue. This, Quan continued, is what humans offer the Confederation. Not just our quantum technology, but our different way of thinking. Our ability to make unexpected connections and see new possibilities. High Overseer Vexmoran was silent for a long moment. Then the ancient alien did something unprecedented. It rose from the council seat and approached Admiral Khan directly. In 12,000 years, Vexmoran said, the Confederation has encountered many species. Some became members. Some became protectorates. Some were damaged, but never have we encountered a species that could teach us new ways to think about technologies we believed we had mastered centuries ago. The Overseer turned to address the full council. I believe we have our answer. Humans will not be merely advisors to the Confederation. They will be full partners in shaping our future. As the council meeting continued with a dramatically different tone, Jinha caught Commander Vextral's eye across the chamber, the Vexery. Commander's exoskeleton glowed with approval. Later, as they left the council chamber, Harin walked beside Jinha. That went better than expected, she said. Jinha nodded. They tried to test us by creating pressure. Instead, they discovered what happens when humans are challenged rather than threatened. Do you think they understand us now? Harin asked. Jinha looked out at the alien world that was now part of humanity's future. They're beginning to, and that's enough for today. The Dauntless waited in orbit, a symbol of humanity's unexpected leap into the galactic community.